tuned into the 2-Minute Warning, a live stream community conversation pertaining to social and political issues and how we can collectively resolve them. Powered by the Westside Gazette.
Hello and welcome to 2-Minute Warning. The 2-Minute Warning is brought to you by the Westside Gazette newspaper, Broward County's oldest African-American family-owned newspaper. I am your host, Perry Busby, and I am so happy that you would join us tonight because we have a very special show for you tonight. And joining us for this special show are my good friends, the publisher of the Westside Gazette, Mr. Bobby Henry, and my good brother, Mr. David Wright. How are you guys doing tonight?
I don't know how to take Perry in that mode. Yeah. But we're doing fine here. We're right on time. We're doing great. And can you hear me?
I can hear you, but it's a lot of background noise, like traffic or some air. I'm not sure. But go ahead. Maybe just me.
That's the air conditioning. No, you're absolutely right. We're in South Florida. And for the rest of y'all in this country, we got the air conditioning.
They got heaters on. Furnaces.
Wood stove burning and fireplace. We got our air conditioning.
Just right. Oh, yeah. It's clear. I just wanted to make sure. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. But man, Perry, every time you bring us on, it's always something different. And it's like a breath of fresh air. And, sometimes I want to change how I come on. I'm tired of saying I'm terrific and getting better, but I am.
Right.
And when you do it like that, Perry, I'm absolutely wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And outstanding as always, man. As my friend says, outstanding. You have to just enunciate it to a different level that really gives you that feeling of,
man, what is Brian Gumber talking about, man?
Outstandingness. It's great. But it's great to be here with you, my dear brother. We got some hot topics going on, man. What's going on out there, Perry? We got a lot of news.
Yeah, I'm digging that backdrop.
Oh, man. Yeah, man, it's quite a bit. I'm looking forward. In a few weeks, I've touched base with a journalist here who covers the border, and I am excited. He's going to let me tag along, and so we can get a bird's eye view. I don't want to talk about what someone else said. I want to bring back what we see from here and what we can collect, because I know one of the major things, the governor here in Arizona made a distinct difference that she told the people if they were looking to mistreat migrants, go to Texas, because that's where that happens. It does not happen. Yeah, she told them go see the governor in Texas. Because there is a way we should address this migrant issue and address it with some humanity. I think everybody can agree that the what's happening needs to be addressed, but that does not take away from the public acts of inhumane treatment. That we are greeting people who come to our shores for the first time. My mother taught me better. You don't treat people like that when they come to your house. And so, but yeah, so I do look forward to that. But man, let's get going. We got a great show. I am so excited.
Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about, and I don't know if we mentioned it last week or not, but for the first time in this country, there will be a synthetic outdoor roller hockey rink built, and it will be built at Boyd H. Anderson High School. Now, how this came to fruition is wild, but Evan Goldman, who is a friend to everybody, he had a conversation with a hockey player by the name of Anthony Duclair. Now, Anthony is from Montreal, and he played for the Panthers for a while. You know, one of the fastest guys on the skates, on the ice. Anyway, he was talking to some friends and had a dream about wanting to build a hockey rink and get more blacks involved. And Evan got wind of this and had a conversation with Anthony, and everything began to fall in place. Evan has a very diverse family. He has a black son, a black wife, and he's Jewish. He was one of the main instruments in getting us to help us to bring the event to the African American Library. So here we are. You have a hockey player, a black hockey player of Haitian descent from Montreal, Canada, who was drafted, came to play with the Panthers and had a dream of building this ring to bring hockey to inner city youth. And so Evan thought, wow, what better place than to do it than Boyd Anderson High School that has a very diverse population, but a real, highly population of Haitians. So here we are. We had the dream, we had a dream maker, and we had a place to put it. So Boyd H. Anderson High School will have a synthetic hockey rink built on its campus to try to get more diversity into hockey. Thanks to Anthony Duclair, who played and had the dream, and to Evan and all of the foundation people, the people from the Panthers, the Florida Panthers. Their owner is a philanthropist at heart. Guy from New York, an Italian from New York, Vinny. You know, was a great guy who got involved with this, put the money behind it, and some other folks, and now it's coming to fruition. Mm-hmm. So all of our listeners, if you know any people that want to get involved, especially young black people, get them over to Boyd Anderson and let them test their skills out on the soon-to-be synthetic hockey rink.
Yeah. And we must add that the NHL had some input in that as well as one of their young students who's I guess you can call him a rollerblader, a skateboarder, a vert ramper who looks like us.
Yeah.
And is a big proponent of this. He thinks this is going to be what we say a magnet, bringing individuals to the school solely for these type of activities. So kudos again to everybody involved. This is a great opportunity.
Yeah. Everybody that was involved. Trust me, it goes more than that. You can read the article in the Westside Gazette this week. If you don't get the paper, go online and check it out. But the article is there. And congratulations to the principal, James Griffin III. Man, you're doing one hell of a job out there at Boyd Anderson High School. So keep it up.
Yeah. And there is a healthy population of young roller skaters. I know from the time I was there, I would frequent the roller rinks. And I tell you, Friday and Saturday nights is there is no lack of young black young men and women participating in skating. And so I think this will be I think this is great to offer them another view of what they can do that they're so graceful at. I mean, I know I've gone to them rings, man. These kids are great on skates.
Yeah, you said something, and I don't know. Are there women hockey players? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
they are. Okay, well, that might be a segment of story we might have to
do. I think the U.S. women's, we have a hockey team that competes in the Olympics also.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So, they get their teeth knocked out as well?
But that I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, okay. Because that's
on the ice. Anything liable to happen.
Yeah. But and there's a healthy international league, even though it may not be as prevalent here in the States. A lot of our college students do end up matriculating to play for overseas hockey.
Okay.
But from a historical note, you mentioned something about some black hockey players back in the day.
Yeah.
Did you want to share that a little bit while we're on that topic?
We had an opportunity to go to Nova Scotia, right? we drove from Rhode Island and that area, Maine and all that, and went over to Nova Scotia. And while we're in Nova Scotia, I'm thinking, no, ain't no black people over here. But man, you get around and go to some of these places, black folk are everywhere. Now,
Yes,
so
indeed.
anyway, make a long story short, we got to Nova Scotia. We were visiting an AME church where it was in other parts of town, and come to find out, the hockey players that were from Nova Scotia, they played so hard that people were afraid to play. You know, these brothers. If you get a chance, read the book Black Ice. It talks about these black hockey players and how brilliant they were on this ice. They played the game so hard that other hockey players didn't want to play with them. You know, so but if you're gonna do it, do it.
Do it.
You know, so but yeah, man, that was quite interesting.
So what an awesome segue. We got so much news and so much information out there, but we wanted to bring back our dear brother, brother Noonan Robinson, didn't we? Our sports guru.
Yeah.
I mean, we kind of started the show off on a sports tip. Let's hear from our dear brother and see what he has to say. Let's see if we can bring him on. Dear brother Noonan Robinson, are you here?
I can hear you well. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you got that purple and gold on, looking like you're from New Orleans. Where you at?
I'm not in Hawaii and I'm not in Orlando. Okay, it's all good. It's all good. Yeah,
So
good evening
you got
again.
for us sports-wise?
I wanted to talk briefly about FAMU because, you know, the last 2 weeks I wasn't able to come on. So I want to kind of talk about the coaching search just briefly. And I thought that I heard, I don't know if it's true or not, that they spent $25,000 or more to form a committee to interview something like 45 coaches, including Tuskegee's athletic director. You know, you never know what goes on behind closed doors. But when it was all said and done, they went in-house and found someone that they didn't have to spend $25,000 for, and that was James Cozy III, a Florida State graduate who is now a FAMU coach. I just wanted to touch on that briefly. I think education and organization is very important. I know I love FAM, but I thought they kind of wasted a little money in that situation. And next, if you all have a comment, just let me know, chime in. I want to talk about Lamar Jackson briefly also in the playoff game against the Kansas City Chiefs. You know, we were all, I know I was rooting for Lamar because I think he's an excellent talented athlete. I think he spent some time trying to prove that he's a pocket passer. And he ended up there were opportunities for him to take off and run the ball, but he held on to the ball a little too long, and they put a lot of pressure on him.
Okay, we just lost our sports aficionado with some technical difficulties, and I see that we got a comment from Wesley Boyd, and he brought up a little bit of history here. Wesley says, ex-runaway slaves invented ice hockey. Blacks with knives on their feet. Okay, man. Look, man.
All right,
Wesley. You set me up with that one.
All right, Wesley. Way to go, Wesley.
You set me up with that one. I should have read the whole thing first.
You know, Wesley's a long-time viewer. He chimes in quite often.
Right.
Yeah, we should have known something.
I should have read the entire thing.
And he's a Boyd Anderson graduate, a Boyd Anderson alumni.
Yeah.
How fitting it is. Hopefully, those Cobras won't be skating on them knives you're talking about, my brother.
Okay.
Hey, I'm back now. Can you all hear me? Okay. I got thrown
Yeah,
offline. I guess.
man.
Anyway, I was just making a comment about Lamar Jackson trying to prove himself to be a pocket quarterback. He had already done that during the season. He didn't have to do that in the game, and I thought that was his Achilles heel in that ball game. If he had used his athletic ability and taken off and run sooner, he may have won that ball game because they were actually in that game until that Zay Flowers attempt to score and the ball was knocked out. So the game was a lot closer than it should have been. So I believe that Lamar Jackson one day will have his opportunity to win a Super Bowl, as will some other young quarterbacks. I do want to talk about Pat Mahomes, though, in the game and in the Super Bowl. I thought he had a magnificent performance. And I'll tell you, there were two occasions that really confirmed that for me. When he drops back to throw the ball, and he's got a Kelsey running across the field, and he throws a perfect pass to him. He catches the ball, runs for yards, and keeps the drive going, gets the first down. A very similar play happened with Rice, but it went to the other side. It was a perfectly thrown pass, first down, keep the drive going. Then later on in the game, when they're trying to win the Super Bowl, he drops back and it's fourth down, and they need the first down. He puts the monkey on his back, and he gets the first down on a great call by the coaches, where he had the option of passing to Kelsey, dumping it off outside, or running it himself. And he did that in several occasions. And there were two other times when he ran. And you know why he was so successful? He was so successful because all the defensive backs had their backs turned, and they were covering the receivers, and nobody looked at him. And that was set up only because they respect his ability to throw the ball, and they wanted to try to stop the pass. And he used this athletic ability. And that's what, to me, makes him the best quarterback that's ever played the game. They called Tom Brady the GOAT. Tom Brady has won more Super Bowls than any other quarterback. Doesn't make him the GOAT, the greatest of all time. So I'll leave that debate for others. Now, in terms of Black history, there was Kansas City. The Kansas City Chiefs have set the standard for recruiting Black players. Okay, back at the first Super Bowl, 35-10, Green Bay defeats Kansas City. They had a young team they were developing. But do you know how many of those players came from HBCUs on Kansas City's team that actually won the fourth Super Bowl? Otis Taylor was one. Who else? Can you name others? Who else
Otis Taylor.
You remember?
Well,
wide receiver.
But he was
Buck Buchanan, yes. Yes. But they all played on that team.
No, you said
Ernie
Taylor,
Ladd.
right?
Ernie
Ladd. Yeah.
Otis Taylor.
Otis Taylor came from Prairie View.
Buck Buchanan. Willie Lanier. Yes. Willie Lanier. Linebacker. You know, at that time, they didn't think that Blacks had the capability to play positions where you had to think a little bit, right? They couldn't play those positions. He proved them wrong. I mean, it was just a myth anyway, you know. And at one time, there were 9 starters on Kansas City's defense in that game. And so Kansas City set the standard for recruiting HBCUs. And that's why the AFL was so successful, because they recruited Black players from HBCUs. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention to you was about Lord Wells. Do y'all know who Lord Wells is?
Lord Wells.
Lord Wells. He was a light-skinned man with the long hair who was on the sideline with the Kansas City Chiefs, and he was the one who actually recruited. He was he established a pipeline for recruiting HBCU players back in the 60s and 70s. Lord Wells. He doesn't get the recognition that he deserves. Y'all look him up, and you'll find that he was really a pioneer. I told my wife Sonia after the San Francisco 49ers lost the Super Bowl to Kansas City, I told her, I said, you know what? They're going to make Steve Wilkes the scapegoat. And by and large, they just fired him as defensive coordinator. And they said that he just wasn't a fit. Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
Yeah, I was.
Yes,
look,
they did.
I usually call you Noonie, but you coach right now.
I'm telling you, man, you
right. You were in it out. But I was going to ask you about that because, you know, someone was just saying that Wilkes, while a good defensive coordinator, sometimes you're just not in the right system. And even though he's a scapegoat, you know, I think it's they were saying that, you know, the 49ers defense is anchored in his front 7. Wilkes is more of a defensive back coach. And they were saying, you know, there's been some underlining because remember, Wilkes was in the booth in the beginning of the season, like most defensive coordinators are, but they asked him to come down on the field because they said the players weren't really connecting with him. And so, I mean, I was going to ask you, how do you look at that as a coach that, yeah, someone may be qualified, but I think Wilkes will get picked up, but, you know, yeah, it is a hard pill to swallow that because, again, San Francisco didn't let Kansas City score until late in the third quarter. So that was a great defensive game he coached.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Steve Wilkes has gotten a bad hand, been dealt a bad hand since coming to the league. You know, at one time he was the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, and they fired him after 1 year. You know who they hired? Cliff Kingsbury, who hasn't done a thing and is now the offensive coordinator with Washington. Cliff and Steve Wilkes was also the interim coach when they fired their coach last year in the middle of the year, and he became the coach of Nebraska. I can't think of his name right now. Steve Wilkes should have gotten that job. Steve Wilkes has done an excellent job as the coach of the 49ers. If you want to criticize somebody, criticize the head coach of the 49ers who did not prepare them for the overtime situation.
Right.
The players they admitted that they didn't know what was going on, you know, and he was also the offensive coordinator with Atlanta when they had a 24-3 lead in the fourth quarter and lost the game to New England. So, you know, it's easy to point at one person and say that he's responsible for them losing the Super Bowl. That's not true. You know, it's unfair to him, you know. Right. And the other thing about the Kansas City parade shooting, you know, it's really a sad situation. It's hard to take out politics in sports, you know, because there's so much in common there. But when you allow people to carry guns and have guns and events like that, you know, have permitless carrying, and our governor is responsible in other areas. It was just a dispute between young people, from what I could gather, that caused that, and it caused 21 or 22 people to get shot and some seriously, and one person to die. And it's so sad. And I'll just say one more thing, and I'll just get out of your way. When they shot those kids in Sandy Hook, those elementary kids, and this country did nothing about gun violence, I knew right then we had a problem. We got a real problem. It just become almost acceptable, the gun violence that we have to deal with in this country. It's not right, you know, and it never seems to end. And on a sad note, but in a way, we've lost two giants. Most people may not have heard of them. One was Mrs. Egley Gallagher, who was my principal at Stranahan. I worked with her. She was a pioneer in so many ways. She passed away recently, and after retiring as the principal of Stranahan, she was a great lady, and she was a pioneer to me because she hired the first Black baseball coach at Stranahan and the first Black football coach at Stranahan. So she was really a social savant in that sense, and I really respected her and enjoyed working for her, and I just, God rest her soul. And the other gentleman you may have heard of is Jake Caldwell. Jake Caldwell was a Tuskegee graduate. He was leaving as I was coming in, and he came to Miami and started coaching basketball and becoming administrator at Miami Jackson High School. He died recently. We funeralized him on Monday. He was 80 years old. He died of a stroke, but he left a legacy that will live on forever in high school annals. You might heard of the Jackson Five with Michael Thompson, and there were others, Cecil Rose. Michael Thompson ended up playing professional basketball. His son just happens to be Klay Thompson of the Golden State Warriors. So Jake coached a lot of great kids, and there are a lot of them who didn't make pros who looked up to him. He's going to be sorely missed in the high school area of Miami, and we're going to miss him. But he was a great man and a great coach. And I thank y'all. Unless you have questions, I'll leave it to y'all.
Coach, you really laid it out tonight, Coach. You filled us up. I do have questions, but I'm going to hold those for another day, because historically, we're going to move to a segue to why we're here tonight. And you being a part of the Westside Gazette, we're going to segue truly into why we're here.
Wow.
Reverend Henry?
Yeah, I don't know. Coach Robinson had me spellbound there for a minute. I was ready to put on my football uniform. Come on, Coach.
Put me in, coach.
Put me in, coach.
Yeah, this is a special week. 53 years ago, the Westside Gazette newspaper was founded, and it was founded by my father and my late mother. My daddy was misquoted in one of the daily papers here, the Sun Sentinel, as a matter of fact. And Daddy went to them to ask them to retract, the story, and they wouldn't. So let's see. Our production crew, do you have that video set up where they did a brief little interview, and we could use that? Okay. Oh, let's see. Okay, well, I'll keep talking. All right. And so Dad couldn't find any black media outlet to tell his story. So he decided, a country boy from North Carolina, decided that he would tell the story himself. And he started his own newspaper, the Westside Gazette. We started off as a tabloid. Now, I got a little goodie box over here that I treasure, and I put some keepsakes in here. And thank you to, her name is Lyons now. Let me see if I can do this correctly. Okay, here we go. This is, no, that's volume number 25. I don't know if y'all can see this. I'm just going to hold up some of our earlier issues. That's one of the earlier issues, but I have okay, here we go. Let's see. That's volume 32. Who is that calling? I want to find and this treasure box that I'm holding has a lot of, let me just take them out. I don't open it up frequently because the papers are really fragile. Okay. This is volume number 5. All right. We were started in 1971. This is volume number 5, number 17. That's 1975. And some of the titles, some of the stories that we covered then are very much almost the same today. We're talking about global warming, right? This is June 24th of 1971. Can you see it? And the head story on this issue was Another Hot Summer. So FSU mergers seen in FAMU's future. Okay, this is getting down to one of the earlier ones. This is in 1973. The first black Palm Beach County judge. Okay. So, and it just so happened that Judges Night is coming up soon, right? Where we talk about the black judges. Oh, you see something interesting.
Well, I'm kind of laughing because I'm in that article there.
And what article is that, Brother David? That's the pay setter?
That's the Associate Pay Setter membership, and that was our inaugural ball that we had over at the Governor's Club here in Fort Lauderdale. And I want to add, part of our orientation, we had to get subscriptions to the Westside Gazette. In order to become an associate member of the Pay Setters, Lord Martin made it paramount that each one of us got 10 subscriptions to the Westside Gazette in order to be a Pay Setter. And wow, bring back some memories.
I'm telling you, so we've been a recorder of our history for 53 years and counting. You remember Mr. Tommy Hankinson?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is, and Mr. Hankinson has gone on, but this was his paper, and the family gave it to us. It's an early issue. Thursday, June the 7th, 1973. That was right before graduation from Boyd Anderson. I'm trying to find that one that we hold so dear. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. If you can see, these pages are real battered and worn out. Here pretty soon, Broward County Library will lend its hand in archiving our old papers. So we want to really just thank them for doing that. Now, this paper was dated, this is volume 1, number 32, September the 30th, 1971. So we were only a few months old on this edition here. And thankful to, I can't think of Miss Lyons' first name, but her family gave us this paper and we got it. So, but these are just some pages of history.
And that's Judge Reddick.
Judge Reddick, the T.J. Reddick Bar Association. This is him. So we've been chronicling our history for 53 years, and we're blessed to be able to continue to do it. Now, I don't know if you can see this, but this is when President Jimmy Carter came to the Elks Club. That Elks Club that is just sitting there under some deep scrutiny, that we as a community need to come back and take our Elks back. We got Miss Roach. You remember Miss Roach?
Margaret.
Miss Margaret Roach is on the front page. Miss Ethel Johnson. Who is that young man there?
That's my neighbor, Mr. Jim Hill.
There you go. But again, we never really know how much we mean to anybody until we go back and look in our treasure boxes and see what we come up with. I was trying to find an article. Congressman Hastings, he always did an article in our paper called Justice for All, and he's here with some other giants, Miss Mildred Keys.
Boy,
I'm telling you, man, it's just something else when you can go back. And if you really need to be lifted up, when all the world is beating you down, and some of the organizations that profess to be Mr. Frank Foos, to be championing the cause, and they beat you up, or the school board is doing what it does, you just need to go back and find some of your roots and your historical concepts and things that happened at that time that you really remember being a part of, and you can start all over and do it all over again. So as a matter of fact, let me just read this poem from Miss Keys, and it's called My Friend. I sought a friend who would not need a constant reassurance, a friend who was abundance of resilience and endurance. I needed someone who could, at all things, at all life, demand to smile or not when I should be a smile or at a reprimand, someone to be there when I called, to be an ear or a shoulder, who knew just when to heat things up and when to make them colder, someone to just have fun with and share my joys, though few, and so many days are brighter just because I have a friend like you. Now, Miss Keys was a mother to a whole lot of us. Her doors were always open. She fed, she clothed, and she cared for a whole lot of us. So again, as we remember the years, 53 years gone by, and we're still here, thankful because of you. You know, our loyal readers and viewers right now. I don't know if you can see this, but if you can look, this is Desmond Tutu, and he autographed this paper. So there are some tremendous keepsakes here. Yep. Okutu Pia. This was, yeah. So find your black newspapers, black owned newspapers and media companies, and support them. Lend a hand, keep them around for a while. Not only the Westside Gazette, but I have a paper here from 1963. And this is the Florida Spur. Okay? So we're not selfish in our recording history. With the headline, $50,000 reward is offered for the Birmingham Bombers. There's a photo here of, is that John F. Kennedy or Robert Kennedy? Let's read the caption. Robert. Robert. Yeah.
Yeah, he was Attorney General.
Mm-hmm. But the importance of the black press is still here, but it's dependent upon you all to keep us here. Facebook, YouTube, Snapchat, Twitter, X, and all those. We don't own them, but we do own our black media. I just wanted to bring up a few things that we did. Again, this is an autograph supplement that we did with the students who actually put this together, and they autographed it all over the paper. But again, that's the community, pleading our own cause. I'm not gonna bring this one up there. I'm gonna leave that in there.
So let me just ask you, because I know this has to be a sentimental moment at some point, but at the same time, it has to be empowering and enriching. We continue to tell our story, create our narrative. Again, hats off, our thanks and blessings to your dad. None of this would have been possible without his vision of making such a thing happen. But how does this make you feel in a moment such as this?
There are things that really give me a lot of pleasure. One, when the older folk call me Levi, that's one thing that really makes me smile. When they refer to me as that man in a hat.
As my mom always say, well, you look good. You're handsome. Yeah.
Where's there was a video. I don't know if that's ready, but and then my mama and my daddy. There's a photo. My mother was the first coronary care nurse. Yeah, right there. At Holy Cross, and she left her job to become the editor full time here at the paper. And then there are other moments. If you would, the moment where with the family, when I was elected chairman of the NNPA, and the family came to support. Yeah, that right there. That was another proud moment. So that heaped a lot of responsibilities, upon my shoulders, but it's shared by family. So that was a moment, and that's good.
So Bobby, I've known you for a very long time now.
Good, bad, and indifferent.
Yeah, we go back to the early 70s. As some of this was taking place. Did you ever see yourself being in this position that you're in right now?
Nope, never. I guess, no, not that I guess. I know that we travel down many roads, right? And being black in Fort Lauderdale, a man, a young boy, there were a whole bunch of stuff pulling at us. from all sides. I was laughed at. I remember when my maternal mother died. I was 9 years old. My daddy had 6 children that he had to raise. He wouldn't let us be split up. So I remember going to school changing for physical education, PE. And Coach Robinson, Coach Green, Coach Pauline, they were all there.
Mhm.
And I didn't change that day. And I didn't change because my daddy had washed our clothes. He put the white clothes in with the color. Needless to say, the white clothes came out pink. And I had pink underwear. So I wouldn't change. So it was all, no.
Mhm. And we're talking about a time when that wasn't cool at all. That you probably had to fight the rest of your life.
Oh, yeah. And
Yeah.
I know we thought that
Yeah.
burnt rice was healthy. Daddy would burn up the rice, before he married our second mother. He did everything himself. He burnt the rice up and told us to eat it because it was healthy. And then my sisters, my 4 sisters, they would go to school with, them pigtails, hair sticking all up. But through it all, we're here. Did I ever think I would be here? Oh man. But God saw things differently. And there were individuals that, came to help and assist and made it possible. And that still goes on today.
Yeah.
Are we rich financially? No, but we're rich spiritually and by those who surround us, and that's great. Daddy was supposed to be on the show tonight. I was hard-headed. I didn't listen. I should have listened to Bert when she told me to interview him while we were there, and I didn't. So I said, well, we can get him. His computer is working. He got a camera. We could, and it didn't turn out that way. So, but we're still here. There was a video that video didn't come up. Okay, there was a video. I was interviewed by another young brother in DC some years ago, and I thought it gave a unique perspective of what it meant to be a publisher of a Black newspaper. A Black family newspaper. And most Black newspapers are family newspapers. I don't know if people understand that this business, this family business, it's the same. We just have a different job to do, and in trying to do the job of covering the news or telling our stories, it can be extremely difficult at times. You have different burdens to carry. Our door is constantly open. People come in, they need this, they need that. The children are going to school. Can we buy some books, or can we donate to the different causes? To do all, there's a hell of a ask of Black-owned newspapers, and a lot of times the support doesn't come from the community. But we are obligated to take care of the community, and so we depend on individuals like you, David, Perry, Don Valentine, Audrey Peterman, our young writers, Leah, Leisha, and now JC, and others that we depend on to give information to our readers, the NNPA, and other Black newspapers from around the country that we draw from and pull from,
And not to mention those that are going on and not to be forgotten. But I firsthand, I've just seen you in action. And I just have to say how proud I am of you, because you are a giver, Bobby. If you have it, I've never seen you turn anybody down. Not to say that that's not possible, but you just continue to give or find ways to give. And I admire that about you. I've actually started to pick up some of those attributes, because even though I know I may have my bare minimums, it's important to put our mouth and our money where our mouth is, or our caring and our giving where our mouth is, especially in this community that we are a product of, that we've gained much of who we are from. And we owe it to ourselves. I believe our community is only as strong as the people in it and what we give back to it, what we put back to it. And the Westside Gazette, Mr. Levi Henry and his family has truly poured richness in this community. Y'all may not be rich, but you poured your wealth back into this community.
I see Sonia, my sister. She asked the question. Well, she wants to know, can I tell why Daddy started the paper in 1971? Did I say it? I told that story. Sonia wasn't listening. I told you that. Sonia, see, you wasn't paying attention, Sonia. I did. When Daddy was misquoted, and he went out and started his own newspaper.
Yeah.
Dorinda had gotten a typewriter for Christmas, and that the first article in the Westside Gazette was typed out on her computer, and Mama did it.
Computer?
I'm sorry, typewriter. Wasn't no computer, typewriter. So that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. I have enjoyed this reflection, and reflection is always brilliant when we can put it over a landscape of and horizon of what we see ahead. And I was truly hoping Mr. Levi would be here, because one of the questions that I did want to ask was, did he ever foresee this day? And even though he's not here, I'm just preempting that question to you, Bobby, and I'm gonna let you think about it, because I do want to say my invitation or my welcome into the Westside Gazette was truly God ordained, because I wasn't looking for the Westside Gazette. And I really wasn't looking, I was just trying to get my feet settled. And I met a brother, and I'm telling you, the first time I met him, I didn't know who he was. I knew I was going to meet. I wanted to go meet Bobby Henry, but I didn't know who Bobby Henry was. I didn't know what he looked like. And I saw him talking to a couple of brothers. And I think it was you and
Vern and Guy.
And they were doing I could tell they were brothers who knew each other. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. And Bobby was holding center court as usual. And I was like, well, now who is he? He showed talking a lot. And then I remember the event too. It was for a campaign for Dr. Osgood. She was running for election. Sure, yeah, I was just getting the time. And Bobby got up, and I tell you, I had never heard anybody speak and command an audience like that. I'm a preacher's kid, so I know how to. I've seen people take control of an audience, and Bobby just had that soul and that fervor, and we met and talked, and I say Bobby was just foolish enough to just hear me out. And I am so grateful that he did, because I'm grateful for the opportunities that he has allowed me to write for the Gazette, and just to hear me out. Like I said, this 2-minute warning was him looking at me, scratching his head, going, I don't know if I should listen to him, but it sounded so good to him. He was like, we're going to do it. And so, Bobby, saying all that, where we are, where do you foresee? I mean, because we, I think if someone said the New York Times was closing, we would think that was a national disaster, that a major media outlet like that. But I contend, if the Westside Gazette, we are equally, in a disastrous mode. And so how do you foresee, us moving forward? Because this is vital to us.
Mm-hmm. And Perry, thank you for that question. God has a way of doing things that we don't understand, not at all. So when you ask me, there are things that have been put in place, that are there, and all what we need to do is to recognize that I'm not the one. I was just chosen for this time to take it to this point. Fortunately, we have some young folk coming behind us, and we try to solicit, others to get involved. It's a simple task with great rewards. But if you're faint of heart, you won't take part in it. So, in trying to answer your question, through faith, through error, through trust, to listen, to hear a person out, period, to hear a person out and say, okay, no, it wasn't my idea, but I like it. Let's go with it. David, it takes all of us, not one of us, but all of us collectively. From the list of viewers there, Miss Betty Lumpkins, Terry Dillard, Sonia, what Boyd that set me up, from all of that. It takes all of that to keep us going. And one thing that I want us to realize and understand, if you don't own your media, you can never tell your full story. There will always be those who don't want your story told. So you have to own your media. The media is so strong that at one time they wanted to be the fourth arm of the government. That's how strong the media is. And if you don't have any say-so through your media, you don't really have a voice. Because they're constantly kicking people off of Twitter. You can't do certain things on Facebook. You can't do this. You can't do that. Once you get to this point, you can't. All of that. But if you own your media, you can tell your story, and you can be around for a long time. Yeah. So did I answer your question, Perry?
Yes, you did. I mean, because we have to see a vision, just as your daddy.
Yeah.
Put forth the vision. I don't know if he intended it to go this long, but because I'm sure there were days he probably figured, let me stop this. This is too much. But his determination, and so, we can't say that without the trials. And so, no, I just wanted our audience to, to at least leave here saying that there is more on the horizon. And I know.
Yes, it is. And as succinct as Mr. Robinson presented the sports tonight, that's another facet. And it don't have to be all family. We are family anyway. I was so glad, and I'm saying this, JC wrote an article last week. That's Yolanda Nail's daughter, a newcomer, about Black history. So we are still drawing people, those people we need to us. So there's a reason. There's a reason why the Black press is still around. And I'm saying it broadly. I'm not just, because we're family. And there's a constant beckoning, a constant call for us to get involved. Anything you want to do, you can do it at a Black newspaper. Anything you can dream of, you can do it at a Black newspaper. The sky is the limit. I just received an invitation to go to Israel. I'm from the hood. I ain't talking about inviting me to go to Israel, or other places. Went to Morocco, other places. Your dreams can be fulfilled at a Black newspaper. And Perry, you tell us all the time, Bobby, you gotta relax. You gotta let it go. I'm saying to myself, I ain't gotta let that thing go. but no, man, no. I mean, so our viewers, young people, if you got any young people out there that want to take a chance, that have a dream and want to express their dreams, bring them here and let's see what we can do. We're trying to move to the next level. I mean, we were just awarded a grant through Google Labs where we got some monies to create some things. So we're looking for individuals that we can pour some things into that they can give back. We want to create that newsletter with videos. We want to have podcasts with students, and these things we want to do. We can't do it by ourselves. There ain't nowhere in Sam heaven that we can do it by ourselves. It's going to take all of us. So,
but I just want to add, the Westside Gazette historically has been the training ground for great journalists, journalists that have come through here, and it continues to be there.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't throw out names like, Shamish Alcindor and people like that have gone on to be in major markets. And
Vicky Frazier, who once used to use Mildred Key's poems to get herself together so she could go before the cameras.
My daughter-in-law, before she became my daughter-in-law, she was at Flomo and interned over here. So all of the college students, my daughter who's interned here, there is just so much that could be afforded to you. That, like you say, this is just the beginning. These are the baby steps to a future, to a world. And this is something that's really not taught in Black history when we talk about journalism, when we talk about Black voices, when we talk about this type of a platform as a career. Sports and entertainment has always been at the top, but there is a future.
I'm serious. If I open these pages up and you can see some of the contributors to Black newspapers, you would be amazed. We had a photo once of Ron Brown. Remember him? Yeah. And he before he became Ron Brown, he did Coca-Cola commercials. We had a picture of him in a Coca-Cola commercial. I mean, I say Al C. Hastings, Mr. Fuchs,
Frank Fuchs.
These scientists. I mean, there are a list. Dr. Chavis wrote articles in Black News. I mean,
Well, and I think one thing we must understand is that newspapers are the first line of history. When historians get to look at history, they go back and look at the artifacts, writings, newspapers. Newspapers are at the very front line of our history. History doesn't start after that. They are the first chronologicals of that. So we have to see it.
Richard Wright. Man, it's just
and being the chairman of the NFPA, can you just give us a little backdrop of history on how long we've had Black history, Black media, Black-owned media. I know you've shared it before, but this is just an opportune time to say it again.
The first Black newspaper was founded in 1827. Now, 1827, you're talking about before, enslaved people. Well, you're talking about one of the first businesses, legitimate businesses owned by Black people. Freedom's Journal, Sam Cornish and John Rushworth, two Black men started the Freedom's Journal. Now, check this out. They did it with some funds that came from the Jewish population. So again, even though it's ours, it took others to invest in what we believed in to keep it going, and it's so much. So I like to tell kids when I say, the Westside Gazette is Broward County's oldest and largest Black-owned newspaper, and I say that unapologetically about being Black. I'm not a racist, I'm a realist. I do understand. And so many times we allow ourselves to get confused. And when we get confused, that's when the problem starts. That's when you have a Clarence Thomas or a Tim Scott or what's the female name? When you have those situations, they're confused, And so we need not be confused about who we are. There's nothing wrong with us at all. Our history is our history blended into some other histories that try to cut us off from the history, But as long as we got our Black-owned media, we have a voice. And you mentioned the NNPA. There's a digital transformation coming about, so we have to position ourselves where we own the platforms, where we own the streaming, where we own that. Not dependent upon somebody else, but about us. Not being a racist, but just being a realist. God bless the child that has his own.
Amen.
Yeah.
And I like what you said. If I can say it one more time, there is nothing wrong with us. There's nothing wrong with us having our own and naming our own.
No.
Yeah. And Bobby, just just thinking about a quick history note about. I think it was the second edition of Freedom's Journal where David Walker's appeal first began. I think he wrote 3 versions of that, and all of them went straight to the newspaper. What's even more amazing about that is that they said Black preachers preached David Walker's appeal, which meant they was preaching from a newspaper.
It's funny you said that.
And that seed led to Nat Turner.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know how that seed goes and how it plants. Mm-hmm. But if it had not been for the paper,
had not been for a Black newspaper, John Rushworth was a preacher. Who started the bedrock, the foundation is our voice. It was the drums in Africa, it was the drums. But here it's the newspapers, and we got to keep it going. Can I ask the production guy, do we have any of those videos? There was one in particular. Okay. I wanted to see where. Okay. Yes, we do. There's one right there. That 10-second one. Well, let me do this. I was trying to surprise this young man. See, brother, you see the image? 9/8/12. Can you click on that? Yeah.
Hi, good afternoon. This is David Wright, and I'm here with Norma Jean Wright, better known as Honey Bunch. And we're here to celebrate the 50-year anniversary with the Westside Gazette. Mama, what's your favorite newspaper?
Westside Gazette. And when I'm telling you, I was so glad when it was, because I was here when they made the first publication and everything, and we were able to get it. And then we knew how good it was going to be, and it was.
That's awesome. And we also knew one of our favorite poets that wrote in the paper, Miss Mildred Keeves.
Oh yes, Mildred was a very good friend of mine, and she could do all type of poetry and all type of writings for not only Westside Gazette but for other magazines and everything.
Yes,
So
that is awesome. So to the Westside Gazette, I guess we're going to wish them a happy 50-year anniversary and
yes,
many, many more.
many more. Okay.
Amen, and God bless.
See, that's what it's all about. Now he didn't know that was coming up, So that, I wanted to do that for him. If we can pull another, then I know it's getting late, but there was one right above that. Yeah, that's Daddy and Mama. Let me see what that is. Click on that. Okay. Now that's Mama and Daddy right there, and that was on our 20th anniversary. So I guess we'll close with some of the things my daddy used to say. No, I better not. I better not. Let me just do this. Y'all, know
You're
that?
good.
Okay. So had it not been for you all, there could be no us, because we record what you do, and therefore we would not be in existence if it were not for you. So we thank God for you and for the stories that you tell and the lives that you live, that we can record them, because recording our history and keeping it is better than guarding a gold mine. It's much more richer than the diamonds you kick around on the earth in Africa. It's a living, breathing aspect of the continuance of life, and we're thankful for the opportunity. So God bless you all. God bless the Westside Gazette, the NNPA, and all of the Black-owned media from around this country. Thank you so very much for your support for 53 years. Let's see if we can get another 53. Thank you.